Good morning, students. My name is Kalpana and I welcome you back to another session of Software Architecture and Design Patterns, that is SADP. Now we are in Unit 1 and I am dealing Chapter 2. This is my class 4. In this class, I will be explaining the contents in Chapter 4, that is Creating and Architecture. In this, we have the following contents, that is architectural styles and patterns, designing the architecture. First, what is an architectural style? An architectural style, sometimes called an architectural pattern, provides an abstract framework for a family of systems. As he has already mentioned, this is nothing but an architectural style, is nothing but a structure that explains the features of an architecture or the system. Like we are in a real world, when we build a house, we go for a plan like this. In this also, while going to construct a software or an application, we employ or we apply an architectural style. Like in general world, the temples will be having some architectural styles, so the mosque will be having some architectural styles and the churches will be having some architectural styles. That is, they will be following some different styles during their construction. So as I have mentioned, an architectural style improves partitioning and promotes design reuse by providing solutions to frequently recurring problems. This architectural style provide an design that can be reused. That is, this specifies clearly some design tactics or strategies that can be employed, that can be used in any other software or application or any product being developed without having the strain or stress of developing again and again. We can reuse the design, and this design provides a solution for the problems that are occurring in the design of any software. This architectural style is nothing but a plan. As you know, some people construct have the plan of constructing a small windows and big doors. Like that, some will be having a plan of constructing a big house with a duplex house like this, and having a 2 3 floors like this. Some these are nothing but the architectural styles, different styles. In short, we can say these are nothing but these are the tactics or design things or the design patterns that are we are using while constructing a house or constructing a product or an application. Now, some examples of architectural styles. At this point of, I will just specify these architectural styles. Afterwards, when we come across these concepts in the future chapters, I will be explaining all these in detail. For now, I will just say or tell the different architectural styles. They are component based, monolithical application, layered, pipes and filters, event driven, publish subscribe, plugins, client server, and service oriented. These are some examples of architectural styles. Now, what is an architectural pattern? An architectural pattern is determined by a set of elements, types, a topological layout of the elements indicating their interrelationships, a set of semantic constraints. In short, the PPT tells us that this architectural pattern is nothing but identifying the elements in a process, their relationship, and the constraints that are maintained between these elements in a process. A set of interaction mechanism that shows how the elements coordinate through the allowed topology. This is nothing but these architectural patterns mainly concentrate on elements, the relationship among the elements in a process, and how they coordinate among themselves. That is, how do they exchange the data, how do they share their data, how do they interact with each other, and what are the constraints that are followed for either interaction or for any other process among themselves. Everything is explained in this architectural patterns. Now, see what is architectural pattern and styles. An architectural pattern in software, also known as architectural style, is similar to an architectural style in buildings. As I have already said, architectural pattern in software is also known as architectural style, and it is similar to the building plan or buildings or architectural styles followed in building a house. That is, in India we follow some style of for constructing the house, and in some other countries where there is a lot of snow, they follow some style of constructing. That is, they follow some pattern and we follow some pattern. Based on the situation, based on the environment, we employ the techniques, we follow the techniques in constructing the buildings. Like that only, while designing a software or while designing a software application, we follow some design styles or architectural styles or patterns, so that we get an efficient software or efficient system, and it meets the requirement of the clients. See, it consists of a few key features and rules for combining them so that architectural integrity is preserved. Here he is telling that so that we are designing this architectural pattern or whatever architecture, we are following this style so that the elements are neatly arranged in the system and the interrelationship is clearly mentioned, and the integrity among the elements and integrity among them, that is between the data or the elements, is preserved and is followed. That is what in real world also we design a plan for constructing a house, and based on the plan only we design the house, and we implement it in real world in a neat and efficient way, so that our house is neatly up to the mark we are expecting. Okay. Next, Mary Shaw and David Garland's influential work attempted to catalogue a set of architectural patterns that they called as architectural styles or idioms. This has been evolved by the software engineering community into what is known more commonly as architectural patterns. In this point, the concept is that two authors, that is Mary Shaw and David Garland, are two authors or two persons who have done or written a paper or who have done a research work on this architectural structures and patterns. That is, they have published a paper or they have done a research work on these architectural structures and patterns. As you are in final year, you will also be aware of the paper publishing That is, during your project work, you will be publishing some papers on the work of your interest. That is based on your project or based on the things or based on the interest you are having. You will take one theme and publish a paper. Like this, here also Mary Shah and David Garland are two persons who got very much impacted by this architectural styles, and so published different techniques and different styles on this architectural patterns and designs. These designs which were developed by them or which were proposed by them were evolved by a software engineering community into what is known more commonly as architectural patterns. Whatever the two authors have published, they were reviewed by a software engineering community, and these were commonly framed as architectural patterns. Next, in response, a number of recurring architectural patterns, their properties and their benefits have been catalogued. Based on these papers only, based on this work done by these authors, many papers have been published, many work have been done, and many different architectural patterns have been evolved or developed. One such catalogue is being demonstrated in the below figure. That is, I am demonstrating one such catalogue in this below figure. See, here it is an small catalogue of an architectural patterns organized by an hierarchical relationship. In this figure, patterns are categorized into related groups in an inheritance hierarchy. For example, an event system is a subtype of independent elements. Event systems themselves have two sub-patterns. What are they? Implicit invocation and explicit invocation. What this in this PPT, the main concept is that the modules are broken into internal components in an hierarchical manner. That is, independent component is broken into communicating process event system, and this event system is subdivided into implicit invocation and explicit invocation. Like that only the data flow. The flow of data in the system is also broken into batch sequential and pipes and filters. And the third component, data centered, means wherever the data have to be stored, is also broken into repository and backbone. And next, virtual machine, that is also derived into interpreter and rule based system. And the call or return function in the system is also subdivided into main programs and subroutines, object oriented and layered. Like this, the every component in the system is broken into in a hierarchical or divided into in a hierarchical or tree structures, and the basis or the basic components that in hierarchy inheritance, as we know, is using the features of the above class into the below class. We are using it in the derived classes. Okay, this is a small example of an architectural pattern. Just you need to know this example and just see the diagram and learn the diagram. Okay. Next, designing the architecture. We have observed two traits common to virtually all of the successful object-oriented systems we have encountered, and noticeably absent from the ones that we count as failures. The existence of a strong architectural vision and the application of a well-managed iterative and incremental development cycle. See, whatever this PPT says is, if we want to design a better or a good product, then a good architectural vision is main important, and a well managed development cycle should be followed. As we all know that to achieve any goal in our life, we should have a vision, and then we should have a planning and or a development, a life cycle or a planning for to implement it in a cycle manner. That is the same implemented here also. To get a successful product or a successful software, we should have a good or a strong architectural vision. What are what is the internal skeleton or internal structure of the application to be developed, and how it can be achieved, and what are the steps I should follow to achieve it. It is like the real world goal we are having. What is my goal and how can I achieve it, and what are the steps I should follow to achieve my goal, is the main thing for achieving a goal in a human life. Like that, for achieving a good product or application in software, the designing in the designing phase, mainly we concentrate on strong architectural vision and development cycle. See, in this we have architecture in the life cycle, designing the architecture, forming the team structure and its relationship to the architecture, and creating a skeletal system. These all aspects play an important role. Next, here we have an evolutionary delivery life cycle. Here I am trying to explain a software development cycle. That is software, how the architecture cycle or evolutionary delivery life cycle uh, exists. As you all know, in the software engineering we have different phases while developing a software. That is, we gather the requirements. After gathering the requirements, we developed a software requirement specification, and based on the specification we develop, then we code it, then we test it, then we implement it, and maintenance, everything, all these phases comes under the software development life cycle. Like that, here we have the following concepts. First, preliminary requirement analysis. In this preliminary requirement analysis, we gather all the requirements the client or the person who is giving the project to us is having. That is, we go to the client, we collect all his requirements. What are his preliminary requirements? Everything is collected in this phase. After that, we design an architecture. That is, we develop a skeleton or we develop a structure of based on this preliminary requirements gathered from the clients. And after that, we develop a trial version. We develop a trial version for the product. And after that, a product is given to a group of persons, and after that these group of person work on the product and test all the things and give us the feedback. After that, we take the feedback from them, and we take the feedback whether it is negative or positive. Whether it is positive, it is okay. Whether it is, if it is negative, then we try to correct in that version. And after that, we again modify our system and again give it to a group of persons. Again they test it, and if it is okay and if the feedback is okay, then we develop the final product or the final version and give it to the client. That is, we deliver the final version to the client. That is, as we are in COVID-19 developing medicine, as we are in COVID time and we are going to develop medicines in this time, we all know that in this phase we have different phases. That is, after the medicine is developed, it is not given to the whole people, it is just given to a group of persons or group of animals. And after that, if it works well, then it is given to a little big amount of people. That is, first if it is given to 10 or 20 people, then after that it is tested on 100, and after that, taking the feedback, it is given to thousands of people. That is, first trial version will be developed, and that phase it will be given to a small group of person, and after that their feedback will be taken and given to a little big amount, that is 100 or 200 people, and based on their feedback and effects, then we give it to the other people. That is, the final product will be reaching the client. As in the corona time, the final medicine will be reaching all the people. Okay, this is the evolutionary delivery life cycle, where a software is going through software is being designed in different phases. Okay, this is an simple diagram, and you need to know the phases clearly and explain it clearly in your exams. Learn the diagram clearly so that you can explain the concepts clearly. Next, designing the architecture. In designing the architecture, we have one method, that is, or we have one design technique, that is attribute driven design. In this attribute driven architecture, we mostly concentrate on quality requirements and functional requirements of a system. As we all know, everyone concentrates on the quality of the product and the functionality of the product. So, if we mainly concentrate on the system quality and system functionality for a system, then we go to attribute driven design. In this attribute driven design, mainly the developer or the architect concentrates on the quality requirements, on high quality and high functionality systems. In this ad, what is the input we are giving? In this, we are giving the set of quality attributes. That is, we are giving the quality attributes or the attributes as input for the attribute. In this ad, that is attribute driven method, we will be taking the quality attributes as input, and we will employ the knowledge and the scenarios or the techniques, and we will be developing a high quality, high efficient and functionally best system. This ad method can be viewed as an extension to other development methods such as rational unified process. Here, rational unified process mainly concentrates on high level design of an architecture, and this ad, that is attribute driven method, is an extension for the rational unified process. See, incorporating ad, that is attribute driven design, into the rational, that is rational unified process, yields a good result. That is, incorporating ad into it involves modifying the steps, dealing with high level design of the attributes, and then following the process as described by rational. If both these models are combined or incorporated, means combined, then we can get a best design of architecture. Next, attribute driven design. This attribute driven design is an approach to define a software architecture that bases the decomposition process on the quality attributes the software has to fulfill. See, in this attribute driven design, as the name suggests, attribute, the attributes, the software or the process are divided or decomposed into small attributes. See, software architecture that bases the decomposition process on the quality attributes. See, that means based on the attributes or the based on this the decomposition is divided into, that is the whole process is divided into small attributes, and these attributes are given some functionality or some, what to say, these attributes have to perform some requirements. The decomposition will not be done like this and that. It has to follow some techniques or standards, or some, we have to choose some scenarios for dividing or decomposing these attributes. See, it is a recursive decomposition process where at each stage tactics and attribute patterns are chosen to satisfy a set of quality scenarios and then functionalities. Add is positioned in the life cycle after the requirement analysis. See, as we have seen in the evolutionary delivery develop cycle, add model comes after the requirement analysis. This attribute driven design comes after the requirement analysis. That is, after the requirements are gathered from the client or the user, then the process is the requirements or the process is decomposed into small attributes following some techniques or strategies or some patterns. Okay. The output of add is the first several levels of module decomposition view of an architecture and others views as appropriate. In add, the system is described as a set of containers for functionality and the interaction among them. Here, as we all know, that in this add, that is attribute driven architecture, everything, the whole project or the whole requirements are broken into attributes, and these attributes are assigned some functionality, and the interrelationship among the attributes. In a process there may be any number of attributes, and the relationship among the attributes are clearly maintained. The data flow, their interaction, everything, their functionality is clearly defined in this method. It is a critical for achieving the desired quality. See, this attribute driven design is a very important design or a critical method for achieving desired quality product. This is the first articulation of architecture during the design process and is therefore necessarily coarse grained. It is the best thing or the first articulation of architecture. This during the design process. This is the best architecture or the first articulation of architecture during the design process. So this attribute driven design process mainly is important for achieving high quality product and provide an efficient system to the user. Next, add uses these three common views. What are these? Module decomposition view, concurrency view, and deployment view. Module decomposition view. The module decomposition view provides containers for holding responsibility as they are discovered. See, as the module decomposition view name suggests, module decomposition means nothing but the whole product or the whole project or the system architecture being developed is split up or decomposed into small modules based on their functionality, based on the work they have to be providing, and the relationship between the modules is also identified and mentioned in this module decomposition view. In short, I like to say one thing. In this module decomposition view, the whole architecture or the whole plan is broken into or is divided into small small modules based on the functionality, based on the things they have to provide, and the relationship among them is maintained and identified in this module decomposition view. Second one is concurrency view. In the concurrency view, dynamic aspects of a system such as parallel activities and synchronization can be modeled. What is this? In this concurrency view, mainly concentrates on the situations that the modules have to handle, that is the deadlock situations or the activities or the parallel activities they have to perform, and the activities they are monitoring, and what are the data they are operating upon. Everything comes, that is if two processes are operating on the at the same time, then what is the if any data inconsistency or a deadlock situation happens, how it can be handled, how it should be handled. For such things, a resource manager, that is a new modules have to be developed. As mentioned here, it can also lead to discovery of new modules such as a resource manager in order to solve issues of concurrent access to a scarce resource and the like. That is for handling such situations like deadlocks or data problems or resource allocation problems, deadlocks, handling situations, a resource manager should be there, because in concurrent issues this situations may occur. Okay, this is about concurrency view. Now see, to understand the concurrency in a system, the following use cases are illuminated. What is this? Two users doing similar things at the same time. One user performing multiple activities simultaneously, starting up the system, shutting down the system, all these concepts come under concurrency in a system. What the slide says is, if two or more persons are doing an activity at the same time and requesting the same data or requesting the same resource at the same time, then it should be handled, it should be solved. Like this, issues should be solved and the resource should be allocated to both simultaneously and in an correct manner. Like this, situation should be handled. And when a user opens a system or shut down a system, the activities that such as cleaning up, such as achieving and saving the data in the system, that is the system should be every time in a consistent state, that is data integrity should be maintained. All these concurrent issues will come in your database management system. That is, whenever you shut down a system, the system is brought into a stable state, that is a consistent state where the data integrity should be maintained. That means when two or more persons are trying to operate on the same data at the same time, permissions such as locks should be provided, and every concurrency aspect comes into this concurrency view. Last is the deployment view. Using a deployment view helps to determine and design a development that supports achieving the desired quality. See, this deployment view helps to determine and design a system that is up to the mark, that is high quality system, and which satisfies the user requirements in all the aspects. This deployment view results in the virtual threads of the concurrency view being decomposed into virtual threads within a particular processor and messages that travel. As you all know, in an operating system, you have come across the process of threads. Threads intercommunication among the process. A thread is nothing but a small part of program under execution. A process under execution is known as a small thread. Like that, we may have any number of process working, and these process should be organized and managed in a correct sequential order. And these the messages that these processes are sharing and exchanging should also be maintained correctly, and everything comes into this deployment phase. See, thus it is the basis for analyzing the network traffic and for determining potential congestion. This deployment phase mainly concentrates on analyzing the network traffic, that is, if two or more processes are communicating with each other, if they are sending messages, how they have to send, how they have to share the messages, and if there any network problem, is there any congestion, that is there any confusion among them, any sort of congestion control, or congestion should be controlled. Everything comes under this deployment phase. These are the different phases in an attribute driven model or an attribute driven design. By this we come to the end of class 4. Thank you.